What's up, historians? It's Captain Tramar, and no, I'm not actual captain. Today, we can look at 50 astounding facts about the Titanic you didn't know by the Infographics Show. So, I'm going to put the original video in the description if I remember correctly. And let's check this out before we get into it. Like and subscribe because I'm closing in on 1,000 subscribers. And if I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to do a Brightside marathon watching all of a long hour video of the Titanic by Brightside. So let's get into it.
The most iconic ship of all time, the RMS Titanic is also the most tragic vessel ever launched. Lauded as unsinkable by her designer and captain, it took...
Okay, so 9 seconds in. Titanic wasn't lauded, right, in his words, the graphics, lauded as unsinkable by her designer or captain. She wasn't called, I think the exact words were, she is unsinkable as we can make a ship, not unsinkable as we claim, as it's been going through decades and decades and decades, or a century since the ship has sunk. Yeah.
Just one disastrous encounter with a stray iceberg to prove the folly of man. You are probably familiar with the story of the Titanic, but how much do you really know about this iconic vessel and its disastrous voyage? Hello and welcome to another episode of the Infographics Show. Today we're taking a look at 50 incredible facts about the Titanic. 50. The RMS Titanic was the largest movable man-made object of her day, 882 feet and 9 inches long, 92 feet wide, and 175 feet high. She can move at 23 knots, making her fast for her size. 49.
Okay, all the three things he said before were true. Titanic was 882, but if you want to be specific, 882 and a half feet long. I know a lot of people pulls out the 882 facts or size, but I have seen the number 882 and a half, 883, but I lean more to 882 and a half because that's more accurate, I guess. Titanic, no disrespect to the ship and her capabilities as a speed, she was not the fastest ship at the time at her size. Let's get that straight. Lusitania and Mauritania blows her out the water by speed. And no offense to the White Star Line, because Titanic was never built for speed. The White Star Lines started at the time. It started in the late 1890s to the 1900s was luxury over speed. Luxury over speed to compete with the Cunard Line that was doing speed. And it was the Big Four. Worked out pretty well. Then the Olympic class followed right after. So let's get it.
The Titanic had 840 cabins for passengers, 416 in first class, 162 in second class, and 262 in third class. She could carry up to 900 tons worth of freight and baggage. 48. She was powered by 29 triple-furnace coal-fired boilers, burning 825 tons of coal per day, with a storage capacity of 6,611 tons of coal, just enough for a trip across the Atlantic. 47. Titanic was hardly an environmentally friendly ship, however, dumping 100 tons of ash into the sea each day. 40. The Titanic had 4 giant funnels reaching up 81.5 feet above the deck, the purpose of which were to ensure the passengers weren't covered in the soot that she ejected. 45. The 4th funnel was only added for aesthetic reasons to make the ship look powerful and majestic, and used for ventilation. 44.
Well, I was about to say that, but he pulled it out, so I'll let him talk. So yeah, the fourth funnel on Titanic was indeed a fake funnel. Yeah, so it basically that trend basically started with the Kaiser Wilhelm the Grosse was the first ocean liner that had 4 funnels. Well, not the first one, but the first notable and successful one. Because the other one that comes to mind before Kaiser Wilhelm the Grosse that had more than the typical 1, 2, 3 funnels at the time was the Great Eastern, and the Great Eastern was not a success. And I have a short coming soon about the SS Great Eastern in a full-on video coming right after that. So we're gonna see. But it really depends on my schedule though to get that video out. But let's continue.
The Titanic had 10 decks total, and strung along these decks were 10,000 light bulbs. 43. 2 engines powered the 3 propellers. 2 were at her rear and weighed 38 tons combined, and 1 was at her center and weighed 22 tons. 42. The Titanic.
Yeah, that I think that is true. With the reason why I'm not talking about the specifications of the ship, or like some specifications of the ship, because I don't know really that much about certain specifications, like how much coal that was on Titanic, the specific engines on Titanic, how many boilers were on Titanic. I don't know like the very, very specific things. Like he says something about like 10,000 light bulbs on Titanic. I don't know if that is true. I don't know if that's true because I haven't got to those really, really, very specific things about Titanic. But I can tell you this though. So for the people that knows about Titanic and Titanic enthusiasts, Titanic often gets depicted to have 3 propellers, a triple, and a 1-4, and that usually is depicted on Titanic because because they had the exact same one on Olympic, and we basically assume if they have the same thing for Olympic, it went through Titanic and Britannic, her sister. But according to some new things coming out about Titanic, apparently that she might have had, this is speculation, might have had a third 3-bladed propeller. But I'm saying that in speculation because it's not concrete. So let's get it.
Titanic was originally the SS Titanic, SS meaning screw steamer, as in driven by propellers or screws, and also standing for steamship. She only became the RMS Titanic after carrying British Royal Mail, thus becoming Royal Mail Steamer Titanic. 41.
The specifications are right. SS means steamship, or steamship and screw. I've never heard about screw ship. But I know that she eventually had RMS Titanic because she ended up carrying Royal Mail on Titanic. But I don't know if SS was originally like hardcore that. But I believe SS was there, then it switched to RMS when she was finished. So yeah.
2 anchors, each weighing 15 tons, were used to hold the mighty ship in place when she docked. 20 horses were used to transport a single anchor during her construction. 40. In 1955, Walter Lord published A Night to Remember, a non-fiction account of the Titanic tragedy, which was soon released as a movie in 1958. The story regenerated public interest in the tragedy after waning substantially over the years, and is likely the only reason we still talk about her today. 39.
I'm not going to say that's the only reason why, because of the Night to Remember. Because we have the discovery of the Titanic in 1985. We have Titanic by James Cameron in 1997. Then other stuff's coming around it. The Oceangate incident in 2023 to 24. Stuff like that. I'm not saying he's wrong that the Night to Remember is the reason why we still have Titanic in the open eye, by saying there's other things that added to that, as I said, but the massive one was Titanic from 1997. And to say something, I to remember the book and the movie are both fantastic. I did a book review and a movie review. Then the link is going to be in the description down below if you guys want to watch it, and with my other Titanic media videos, because I do some movie reviews here and there and book reviews here and there about Titanic. They're pretty good, and the Night to Remember movie is crowned as the most accurate depiction of the Titanic in certain aspects. In certain aspects, yes. Certain aspects, no. But it held as the most accurate. The most accurate. So.
Titanic took 2 years to construct and cost an equivalent of $166 million in today's money. That's $34 million less than the cost of the 1997 movie Titanic, which was $200 million. 38. A 200.
That is true. The Titanic movie did cost more than the Titanic itself to make. And it's still surprising how big the movie came. How the movie came from 1997. Yeah, let's continue.
28-foot tall gantry was built over the Titanic to construct her, the largest ever built at the time, from which up to 15,000 men would work during her construction. 37. 3 million rivets were used to join together the pieces of her hull. However, unlike many other ships built at the time, in order to cut costs, the Titanic's rivets were a mix of iron and steel. Even weaker iron rivets were used on the bow of the ship, which would be the section that later struck the iceberg. 30.
Okay, you lost me there. I don't think that the White Star Line will use to cut cost to use weaker rivets to hold the ship together whatsoever, because a lot of people, like History 101 and now Infographics Show, is trying to say that the Titanic, the cost of the Titanic, the sinking of the Titanic, have been caused maybe because the White Star Line wants to cut costs or cut the budget. No, it was never at risk of doing that. It was never a risk at doing that.
6. 8 construction workers were killed during the construction of the Titanic, and 246 were injured. An unwritten expectation from back in her time was 1 death per 1 million pounds spent, which put her death total of 8 well under budget and was considered a great success. 35. The Titanic carried 75.
I don't know about that part, about the how the deaths were kind of different from other ships at the time. But I do know that, yeah, there were 8 people that died during the sinking of the Titanic. There's even someone that died during the sinking of the Titanic, and I think they are buried in either Belfast, if I believe. And I think it was a young boy, if I remember correctly. I don't remember if I remember that correctly. It's either a young boy or a young man that was on Titanic. Someone double check me in the comment section about the accuracy of that. So yeah.
1,000 pounds of fresh meat, 40,000 eggs, 6,000 pounds of butter, 15,000 bottles of beer, 1,000 bottles of wine, 850 bottles of liquor, and 8,000 cigars. 34. Her crew and passengers drank 14,000 gallons of water a day. 33. For her last dinner on the night of April 14, 1912, passengers in first class enjoyed oysters, salmon, filet mignon, sauté of chicken lyonnaise, lamb and mint sauce, roast duckling, chocolate and vanilla eclairs, and French ice cream. Passengers in third class had the option of gruel, cabin biscuits, and cheese. Luckily for both first and third class, fresh fish would be pretty immediately available completely for free just a few hours later. 32. The Titanic was capable of...
I don't like how he portrayed the first class experience to the third class experience by food wise. Because I'm not saying, because okay, here's the thing. We can't compare, or we technically can, but we can't compare the times of 1912 to times of 2026. They're completely different and we see everything differently. So it's kind of hard to kind of justify on certain things about certain aspects of the Titanic and certain things and all that. But I do know that first we can look up the menus for the first class and third class and compare food compared to food. So yeah. Let's see. Oh, it has to be so small. Sorry for the blurriness of this photo. This most likely is, I don't know if it's first class one, but most likely it's like either second class or something like that. But it looks like it doesn't. All of these food don't look that bad on the thing. Maybe I will do a series if I learn how to cook. That we could trying to make food from that time period the exact same way to see if the food is really that bad compared to first class to third class. Because I've seen a lot of videos on that and I wanted to try it. So yeah, let's keep going. Okay, I don't know. So a lot of people have said that and claim a lot of times, but what I have to say that is the lifeboats before the sinking of the Titanic had been looked at differently than after the sinking of the Titanic. Because before then, the lifeboats were basically used to just transport passengers from point A to point B if there's ships around. And that has been fine. Then was reinforced by the sinking of the Republic, another White Star liner years prior to Titanic, and they point point A to point B, bringing passengers from another ship from the Republic to another ship. I don't remember what the other ship it was, but save people. Then right after the sinking of the Titanic, that's when they started to be looked at as way they use for when they need to get people off the ship as fast as they can. That's also true that it was technically legal because it was based on gross tonnage instead of passenger capacity. During the sinking of the Titanic, some of the life, I have a lot of filler words, so I'm sorry for that. Crap, I keep saying it. Again. So basically, the Titanic, during the sinking of the Titanic, some of the lifeboats weren't filled up to full capacity because some people think it was just reluctance or just they trying to get this passengers off the ship, but it's because that they didn't know the severity of the disaster until like the last out, like until like they figured out because they like based on the movie and based on accounts that after the sinking, I mean after the collision with the iceberg, there was no chaos because they was calming down passengers and so much, and there was no like fighting anywhere. It was only after they finally realized the severity of the disaster that chaos started to ramp up on the Titanic during the sinking. So let's continue. I don't think the cutters were ever on Titanic. They were never on Titanic because 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Well, crap. I guess the cutters were the ones that was on the side of the Titanic. I can't really tell, but I don't think they were cutters in any way. That's true. That's also true. I don't know if it's right. I, yeah, and that's a really good point. That they kind of basically they weren't useless, but they kind of didn't help because the the temperature of the water around the Titanic during the day of the sinking was butt crack freezing. I think that I think it was 20 degrees Celsius if I remember the exact number. And for the longevity of people in that temperature of water, I think was only 15 to 20 minutes maximum before your heart starts shutting down and you die of hyperthermia. Is when your core of your body is so cold that you're starting to lose more and more, like not losing blood, but start losing more circulation in the body. Then you unfortunately pass away. So I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. And this I'm gonna go off of a tangent, so excuse me. I might cut this from the final video. But um how some people depict the sinking, like that's why I'm thinking danger, and that's why it's certain things with the danger of AI coming through is that even with that viral AI video about Titanic with that girl going on Titanic, like it's like vlogging through history. Vlogging through history reacted to it. Historical travels react to it. Um, Mr. Terry reacted to it. Um, there's so many dangers with AI because with the information, it can make you, it can only fit a narrative so well. And there could be a lot of inaccuracies in it. That's why when I write my scripts, I only use AI to give me like give me a second. I forgot the word. A guide. There you go. Give me a guide of how to write the script, not the information based on that script, based on the script. Then when and then I'll look up the stuff myself through other sources to make sure they are right in that case. And in some of my earlier videos, I used AI entirely, but looked over the script made by them to make sure the information were correct based on other information. So going through that and transitioning out of that way, sorry for the tangent, I say again, this, and the reason why it connects to this, and I'll pause at this section, is because with that, because it can make people look, make the first class look snobby. It'll look the first class snobby, arrogant, things that not all first class passengers was. Sure, there's maybe some people like that on Titanic, but not all first class was like that. Like I looked into Joseph LaRoche story, and yeah, even though there's not much information, but based on the sources that I have looked through for my film that I'm making in the next year about his life, that is he was a pretty humble man, even with his cousin being the president of Haiti at the time. He is still humble, marrying a French woman, going to France at the age of 15, and stuff like that. But I digress. I don't know that's right. I don't think that's right. Okay, that's basically what I'm trying to say. Some information or some people wants to fit, some things are more complicated as it seems, and people are trying to make it simplified by trying to blame one person and turn others. Like people trying to say, "Oh, what happened to Titanic? What happened to Titanic?" And they come up with theories and trying to point hands. It's like, "Hey, the captain did this. J. Bruce Ismay did that and that and that." And I had to say to is, you can't really criticize people from their actions on that day. You can criticize it a lot, but you can't criticize it much. You can't criticize it much. Like for example, you could possibly blame J. Bruce Ismay, but with all the sources that we have, it's showing that he was more of a liability because he was trying to coordinate everything, but he was getting in the way of the crew. Then he left. But the passengers in the media see him as just a coward. That's why, and that's the severity of the media, because they were simplifying everything to make everybody a bad guy, to make some stories fit a type of way. No, I think it was more like that. Oh, okay. So basically, when I see historic, okay, so this is a little bit of a tangent. I'm sorry for the tangents, but when I look at historic travel's reactions to like videos and stuff, he kind of criticized the visual representation of certain things. Me, not so much. Like, I don't really cringe at the visual representation unless it's so bad to the point that it needs to be criticized. Like, for example, in the videos, some of the video pictures of the Titanic or animations of the Titanic don't look necessarily bad in any way, but they're not good either. Like here, Carpathia was not like this; it was more like this when I popped the picture that popping on the ship, popping on the ship. And I'm not criticizing much because I only worry about more of the information being pumped out to the video than the visual representation, because the visuals emphasize the words. If both are wrong, it's wrong. So that's not good. Most likely, yeah. I don't know about that part. Okay, so basically, sorry for pausing so much. What happened to the lifeboats of the Titanic? We do not know. I even made a video about that exact topic. I put it in the description down below with other videos I said I can link into the description. Um, some of the series are they were used on other ships like Olympic or other ships after Titanic. Some had just rotted so badly that they were scrapped, or they were scrapped entirely to erase the ruins of the Titanic. And yeah, and apparently there was a lifeboat that floated up, and a lot of people said it fit the dimensions of Titanic, but it was not specific. It was not concluded if it was Titanic's. So yeah, let's continue. I don't know about that. But that is true. There was a book written way before Titanic called Futility, or another name is The Sinking of the Titan. Um, a lot of the stuff that happened in the book eerily happens the same way during the Titanic. People have speculated that, oh, maybe the Titan probably predicted the Titanic disaster. But I think it's just a massive coincidence. There was no fog during the sinking of the Titanic. There was no fog. There's no in unsafe waters. I could say it's unsafe, but not in the way you guys may think. So that's not in the Titanic. The water was flat, calm, like no waves, none. No, like no big wave, none. And the reason why it's unsafe waters because you can't really see the waves crashing onto the iceberg or icebergs or ice flows or anything of that sort to show the presence of those icebergs happening. And plus, there was something called light refraction happening that night as well. But we're gonna get to that. Oh no! Okay, two incorrect lanes back to back, and I have to decipher the two. Great. Next. Okay, so basically, the rivets were not the problem. The rivets were not the problem. And next, the iceberg did not leave a gash. It left little puncture wounds into the ship that overall caused it to be a problem. Then yes, the iceberg did puncture 6. People will say, "Oh, puncture 5." No, because the iceberg went a little bit further, going into I think, a coal room, a coal bunker, equaling into that 6th compartment. That's 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's true. Okay, that's more from the movie, but more modern analysis saying that the breakup point where is aft, no, forward of the second funnel. Give me a second. No, forward of the third funnel. I'm so dumb. Okay, forward of the third funnel, but a piece of the Titanic after the ship broke came off. We call it the aft tower. Aft tower, equaling to that. So, actually, we have my Titanic model here. Give me a second to put it back together again. Okay, so this is my Titanic model here. Whenever to drop that, don't worry about it. That's king. It's right there. I have it. So basically, this breaking off point was not here depicted in the film, but it was more here broke than a piece all the way up to here of somewhere to here fell off of the Titanic. Let me get back. I'm sorry. Oh, that's great. There's another iceberg. That is not right. I don't think Captain Smith ever said that line. Plus, true, he was a captain on the Adriatic, and yes, the Titanic was supposed to be his final captaining job before retirement. Hold the White Star Line. But I don't think in all my 6 years of looking into Titanic and ocean liner history that I ever heard that claim that the captain ever said that. But anyway, so that's the end of that video. The consensus is it's freaking dumb. It's just dumb. Some of the information was accurate to the ship, to the information, yes. Some of it I'm not really sure. And some of it was absolutely BS. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. Until next time, stay curious. Love you guys.